Hey guys, what's up? This is Showtime from Showtime Strength Fitness over here. Size, growth, whoops, get big. All right. So I got a little question for you all. What does it take to overturn a conviction, right? You got one guy who's already been convicted and had all of his appeals slammed down. You got another kid who's got one left over a bullshit interrogation thing. Police were okay in doing what they did, right? Because they thought these kids were guilty. They set up a sting, right? And they pretended to be mobsters. Well, they also had these characters be fairly threatening and intimidating. Plus, they came across pretty damn, cool, and they had connections, supposedly, right? They were police officers playing the mafia guys, right? But even then, the kids, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. But they were kind of threatening. It was like, if you don't tell us, we're not going to help you out. We're not going to get rid of this evidence for you. We can make all this stuff disappear. And which they didn't have any evidence. Like, what evidence do you have on me? He wanted to see it because he just is like, there is none, right? We didn't do it. And so I just think that, it was illegal in Canada, yet the judge was a retard from the U.S. and he allowed it in. And so I think that, there's a way it should be overturned, just automatically. Now that Netflix thing's out, everybody can watch the evidence for themselves and see that these kids were freaking bent over and screwed with no KY, and just because they thought one of the kids were kind of arrogant, right? Well, I kind of thought they both kind of were. Kid lost his family, right? And they didn't even get the real killers. They were presented with, from other police departments, evidence, and some was physical evidence even. They had an informant who had the murder weapon, the name of the kids with the murder weapon, where they lived, where they worked, phone numbers, the whole 9 yards. And they said, well, we have no evidence. There was blood on the scene that didn't belong to either of the two that were convicted. So they should go free. And I think that was a huge injustice. And I think that everybody should write the Bellevue Police Department. I think everybody should write to that judge who's a fucking retard, right? He was telling me to the guy who was just completely honest. They're both really honest, and we're falsely convicted. We didn't really get that fair of a trial because they didn't. That they presented. The judge allowed illegal evidence because it was too unreliable. There was an expert who wanted to speak on the behalf of the kids because he ran an experiment on those types of situations, and he could tell when people were lying. He could tell they were lying in their confession to try to impress these mobsters, right? And it was a combo of trying to impress them, and they were also intimidated by maybe something physical that's going to happen to us if we don't lie and said we committed these crimes. And their story was bogus. It was like way off the charts. Inconsistencies. Both had different testimonies, right? And there was for things to happen the way that they did, if they're going to present that as truth, they got to present everything as truth. Well, there was 3 lies in there. It's like, this guy was here, and he couldn't have been here because he had to have been there because of the way the physical evidence was. Didn't match up. It was totally false. So that should make the whole confession be bullshit, right? They were intimidated and manipulated into it. And how the jury was that retarded too. If I'm on the jury, right, for me to convict you, I have to be presented overwhelmingly with the evidence, like in that case with that poor kid, the Gabriel Fernandez kid, right, where the parents were just horrible, evil people. The evidence was overwhelming, man. 2 times they should have had him, and that kid would have still been alive. And they were prosecuting people that had nothing to do with. They had something to do with it, the social workers and stuff, but they didn't. They were unfair about it. They got the social workers, but not the police department. And except for one police officer, they shouldn't have pressed charges on anybody. Not the police and not the social workers, except for the motherfucker who said, "We're not going to go investigate because that's overtime. I don't want to pay the overtime." Really? And the fucking kid died because they didn't go over there that day. They killed him because he didn't fucking listen. And the dude even called the cops, and then the cops were supposed to go over there. They couldn't find nothing, but the social workers could have put a kibosh on that. Dude saw, the guy in uniform saw all the problems. They could have saved that kid. And then the douchebag bully of a officer. This poor kid's been beaten. He's been enclosed in a cupboard. He has to sleep at night. Everything was broken in his body from head to toe, his ribs, everything. His head was lesioned. He was all fucked up. Every single finger was broken. Just evil people, right? Evil parents. One was a real mom, one was a stepdad. They're both garbage, right? One of them's already been... I even said when I watched that last night, I told my wife, you can watch that. You watch that bitch. She fucking thought she got over on him. She's been mouthing off to the fucking corrections officers, so they fucking hate her, because she's been, wait till those cameras are off, they're gonna fucking slam her head into the wall, watch this. And then also the fucking, because they're not gonna put up with that shit, and the inmates are gonna hate her too, because they don't like chimos, or pedophiles, or people that torture kids for 8 months, and then kill them. So, the dude was smart, because he's gonna be put to death, he's gonna be protected in there, he's gonna have a nice, easy death, he's just gonna be put to sleep, right? Whereas she is gonna have to spend life in prison and fucking walk main line. That bitch is gonna get shanked, watch. And sure enough, I don't know if she got shanked, but she's been tortured and shit in there and probably raped and shit. See, that's what happens. That's what happens when you fuck with kids, right? So, so you watch yourself. What goes around comes around. So in that case, right, they deserved it. There was overwhelming evidence. So I think they did a good job on that. But fuck, after it was said and done, you can't bring the kid back. And that cop that took the kid and took the mom's word for it knew he was a victim because he'd been beaten up. And the mom said the older kids did it. Well, either way, the kids do it, right? Which they didn't. It was the parents, right? That they're going to say that the parents did it. Or we're going to beat you up again, right? Or the parents are going to say that the kids did it. Told the kids to say that they did it, right? And it was bullshit. And so instead of the fucking cop helping him getting out of that situation, they told him he was a liar. He told him he was a liar and he was going to take him to jail if he kept lying. That motherfucker, if anybody should have been prosecuted, it should have been him and that motherfucker who had the evidence presented to him, and he said, don't investigate because it's going to be overtime. So let that kid die. Other than those two cases on that whole thing, the rest of them just trying to do their jobs right, the best that they could. And when you have things explained away, and you have, the government only has enough slots for X amount of social workers, right? It's like, these guys have, several hundred, if not several thousand children and families to take care of each individual social worker. You think something's going to get under your nose once in a while? Well, fuck yeah, especially if you can investigate it. You got all this time, all this short amount of time to investigate all these cases, all these complaints, right? There's no way you keep up with it all. It's worse than being a public attorney, and we all know how effective those are. Even the very, very good ones that get overwhelmed, they can't do their job 100%. Why? Because they have 5,000 clients, and the ones that get paid, the $4,000 and more, they can, manage their caseload. And even some of them get overwhelmed, even when they're getting paid the big bucks and everything. They have too many clients, right, to really give 100%. So I get it, right? I understand when you get too overwhelmed, not being able to do your job 100%. So to try to go and it was just a political bullshit thing. It's just, trying to not take responsibility for lacking resources and lacking workers, and trying to pin it all on and throw their own workers under the bus. I'll never be a social worker after watching that fucking series, never, because they don't have their workers' backs, right? Like, that's one thing I can say about law enforcement. They got your back most of the time. You usually got to really fuck up, for them to not have your back. So I get that. And then too many people are cop haters because of the media and a couple of punks with badges that fuck it up for everybody else. So the good ones, get thrown under the bus. And that's bullshit too, right? So, some of these high positions where you can help change the world and shit, we gotta change our way of thinking, and really support the ones who are doing a good job. Yeah, when it's a punk with a badge, or it's a bad person that's in a position to do something good, and they don't, because they're evil, that's different. But again, few and far in between, right? So, I think that this Bellevue Police Department should be written to. I think that in regards to the lead detective on that, because I know some of those Bellevue police, man. They're good people, right? This was a couple of decades ago, and even then, you know, I knew a couple of the people on the police department then. That's not their fault, okay? It's those dumbass detectives in charge that just went with the real evidence and tried to just have their minds made up from the get-go that it's these kids, right? And it was just unfortunate. It's a terrible tragedy what happened to those poor kids, and the evidence is overwhelming. You know, if you watch that video series, that absolutely nothing to go on but a freaking, you know, prosecuting attorney just doing their job, right? And that's all you can do. And defense screwed it up from the get-go. They had a way to retract that witness's statement, who was a total clusterfuck, by the way. Either lied to the defense with some questions, other questions he avoided, other questions he had sudden amnesia. Well, I don't really think I said that. I don't really think it'll happen like that. He just, well, said he didn't know, right? Whereas if he'd been telling the truth, he'd stuck to his guns. Nope, I did not say that. I did not do that. Nope, I did not call, right? And he'd get caught in a lie, and he'd get caught in a compromising position, so then he wouldn't, he'd kind of, you know, skew that next question, right? So he wouldn't come straight out and lie, but he'd, I don't recall saying that, or I don't recall doing that. But he recalled calling the office, right? You can still recall calling the office, right? But you can also recall, no way, I never freaking said that, right? He got caught. He got caught in a lie, and I get it. He was trying to protect his family and things like that, but, you know, it's better to stick to your guns and just not be a snitch, you know? Just say, hey, I don't know nothing about nothing. But I get it. That poor kid would have been thrown right in there with him, right? And, but because of the lack of evidence, maybe that would have been enough to, who knows? Who knows? They were all kind of manipulated and scared. They're just kids, you know? So, it is what it is, and I just hope there's some way to overturn that, because it was all bullshit. That law, by the way, that illegal tactic has been revoked, so that should have automatically sent those kids home, right, immediately. But they didn't. It's like, well, conviction's already done. We already allowed it in here. We already allowed it in this country, and it's not allowed in this country. And you fucking made an exception. That's wrong, okay? That's illegal. They did it anyways, because it's the government. The government can do whatever the fuck they want. So that was wrong. And then, now they revoked it. So now it's wrong there too. So you should be able to take that Mr. Big thing and just throw it out, right? But, yeah, that judge is something else. He was an asshole. What a dick, right? And then saying that, I said, oh, you have remorse. He didn't have remorse. He said the same thing as the other kid said. He just said it with a little more respect and a little bit more tonality. And the other kid that came across as arrogant, he even said it with respect to the court, with respect. You know, he just wanted justice, which was get to go home because he didn't do that shit. And everybody's too fucking retarded, right? Because they don't have friends in the mafia. They don't have friends in organized crime. They don't have people who kind of walk the gray line. So they don't understand the position they were put in to try to bring them stuff up status-wise and say, yeah, we did it, you know. Because they're thinking, well, if we say we didn't do it, they sit here and keep busting our balls and yelling at us. We want them to like us, right? Because these are important guys with connections. They can help us, right? Because they didn't think they were police. So they went along with the bullshit story. It's just, I'm pissed about it, right? So, anyways, it's Showtime. Showtime Stretch Fitness over here. Size, growth, whoosh. Get big, alright.